The biggest drug trial in Fiji's history has got underway after the seizure of more than 4 tons of methamphetamine last year. Our Fiji reporter Lice Movono is covering the trial and explains how this massive shipment of drugs made it into the country's most popular tourist hotspot.
So, Girish, the shipment came through by sea, and what we're hearing in court over the past few days is that a barge was hired off of a marina similar to the one that we're at now, and it went just beyond Fiji's exclusive economic zone in order to rendezvous with a superyacht. The yacht, we're told, was unmarked, so there were no identifying details at all, but it took 2 hours to offload what we now know is between 4 to 5 tons of methamphetamines that were then brought onto this island, Vitilevu, on the mainland right here in Nadi, just to the left of me over there, Girish.
And Lice, you are in Denarau in Nadi, one of Fiji's most popular tourist areas. How exactly was this location used in the operation, and what does it tell us then about how organized this network really was?
And so it looks as if the group that executed this trade on the high seas were quite well coordinated and quite well resourced, Girish. What we understand is that once the barge was able to bring on board this large consignment of methamphetamines, it was brought to a holding facility on this island, Denarau, which is the jewel of Fiji's tourism crown. What we understand is that the people who are alleged to have masterminded the importation, or rather the trafficking of narcotics into Fiji, had seemingly legitimate businesses, a car wash, a barber shop, even a marine engineering facility where witnesses are telling us, or rather telling the court, is where the drugs were kept in the first place before it was distributed to other places around this area, Nadi, for at least a month before police was able to find out about the operations and conduct the raid that ended that operation in early 2024, Girish. And what that tells us is that the people who are working with Fijians are quite well resourced, and they have infiltrated businesses here. They've infiltrated communities, because the number of people that were part of this initial net that the police cast is quite a big group, and from all walks of life, Girish.
And beyond the trial itself, Lice, what has been the national and regional response? Are we seeing any real changes in how Fiji handles organized crime and border security?
Girish, right now we're seeing quite a large public outcry. People are frustrated because the manner in which this trial has finally come about more than a year after the initial arrests has kept the country quite captivated. From the very beginning, when the raid was conducted and the drugs were seized, we've had everything from missing evidence from police stations, from the accused persons making not 1 but 2 attempts to flee the country, also via sea. And then we've had multiple legal delays. And so there are a lot of people who are now following the case quite closely now that we're well and truly into the trial, and people are paying attention. Unfortunately, it has been almost a year since the ABC first covered this particular case, and since then we have not seen much by way of an improvement over the way our government agencies does respond to what is now an emerging drug crisis. What we're seeing, though, is a lot more police, a lot more members of the Narcotics Bureau, a lot more of the people that we trust to look after our borders and to keep the law, now being prosecuted for their part in aiding in the importation and distribution of narcotics into Fiji. So there is a lot of interest now, and a lot of people calling for the government to do more and to do better, and that's not just the Fijian government they're calling on, Girish. They're also calling on the Australian, New Zealand, and other governments to be part of the effort to address this issue.
Okay, Lice Movono in Nandi, thanks very much for keeping us up to date with this historic drug trial.
Vinaka.